Is the outdated infrastructure in the U.S. impinging on growth and the economy? What's your take on that?
Well, part of the case we made in arguing for this historic infrastructure bill is that we are paying the price for decades of disinvestment and underfunding. Maybe at the time it appeared like a savings, but it's no more a savings than putting off a fix on a leaky roof is a savings. Sooner or later, that catches up to you. But that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud to be working on the investments we now have underway. This is the level of infrastructure investment that previous presidents and administrations have promised but not been able to deliver. This time is different, and we spent our first year as an administration getting that bill passed. We spent our second year creating the programs that the bill funded. Now, in this third year of the life of the Biden-Harris administration, we are very focused on getting the money moving, and as we say, getting the dirt flying, the actual construction. And it's going everywhere from some of our biggest airports and most recognizable roads and bridges to rural areas that have needed something that might sound very simple and minor, like eliminating a railway crossing. But if that railroad crossing was blocking emergency vehicles or becoming a constant headache because trains were delayed or blocked on it, this is a major quality of life and even safety issue for the communities. And so whether we're talking about ports and airports, roads and bridges, trains and transit, this is a generational investment that, by the way, also has the enormous benefit of creating a generation's worth of good paying, skilled jobs for the American people.
The collapse of I-95, would that be a catalyst for the U.S. to perhaps relook at all its highways, reinvest to make it better?
Well, importantly, while there have been cases in recent years where in the middle of an ordinary day, a piece of infrastructure failed, this is a little bit different. What happened here was an inferno, a collision where a tanker truck exploded directly beneath an elevated highway. Even a modern and recently built highway can only withstand so much heat under it before it begins to fail, and that's what happened here. But I would also say, I think it's a real tribute to the ingenuity of people on the ground, the engineers and the workers, that the president was able to be there yesterday as they announced a solution where we would have expected it to take months to get cars moving on that roadway again. In fact, within weeks, they're going to be able to get that done with novel approaches to filling that back in. And that's a big part of what we have to do, not only to work harder, but to work smarter, to make sure that the dollars we have go further so that we can more quickly deliver results, whether it's dealing with an emergency like I-95 or whether it's building infrastructure meant to last for 100 years.
The thing is it even viable, feasible for the I-95 to reopen in 2 weeks? I mean, what's making it possible now when you compare it to maybe the I-85 bridge that collapsed, which took several months?
That's right, yeah. We had relatively recent experience with a somewhat comparable incident that took place a few years ago. What they're doing this time, and I had a chance as I visited the mobile command center to hold this in my hand, is use a form of material made of recycled glass that can be compressed into sort of bricks that then can be paved over, so that while the permanent work of restoring the bridge takes place, they can do that in stages while still having more than half of the original capacity of I-95 running while those repairs are taking place. And this is what I mean when I talk about being creative and innovative while also being safe in finding solutions to these issues. Every time we can find a way to do something better than we did a year ago or 10 years ago, we're going to apply that to get the most, as we say, the most bang for our buck.
Secretary Buttigieg, I want to touch on U.S. infrastructure, the sad state of U.S. infrastructure. My crew and I got here in Iseshima on the bullet train, the Shinkansen. You can't help but juxtapose Japan infrastructure with U.S. infrastructure. Why is Japan's infrastructure way more superior than that of the U.S.?
Well, we've inherited about 50 years of U.S. policy that did a lot of work to move cars quickly, and we can all agree that it's important to have efficient ways of moving cars around, but really at the expense of important alternatives. Right now, we're working to make sure that we have a more balanced transportation future. Of course, we're investing, as a matter of fact, the most we have in more than half a century to improve our car infrastructure, to have better designed and more durable roads and bridges. But we also have to make sure, especially given what we now know about climate change, that there are strong alternatives like better passenger rail. Now, President Biden famously is somebody who's a passionate believer in passenger rail. So am I. And what we have in the historic infrastructure law as part of the $1.2 trillion package of investments that the president is leading is the biggest investment in American passenger rail since our system, Amtrak, was created in the first place over 50 years ago. Part of that's a matter of repairing what we have, but part of it is a matter of enhancing, adding and improving on the infrastructure that we've inherited. It won't happen overnight, but I'm confident that this legislation and this work we are undertaking right now is going to lead to substantially improved options for passenger rail in the United States.